episode of Jason Talks About. And in this episode, Jason talks about the weekend wrestling. That's right, we're doing things a little different this time. But before we get to that, that music that you heard at the top is Reality 508. Find them where you find music. Find me on social media, just about every kind of social media you can think of, at Jason Talks About in most places. I'm your host, Jason Medeiros. And let's get to the programming now. So, people will notice my last upload was the week in WWE, and I usually do a week in AEW. Just due to circumstances, I was not able to complete the week in AEW last time around, and by the time I was able to, the following week of AEW had already happened. So what I'm going to do this week is we're going to do Raw, Smackdown, and Dynamite. Just going to cover the main points, so I won't keep you guys here forever. And just wanted to mention that Collision, they did some weird thing where it was like an hour at 11 o'clock at night, I believe, after college basketball on both Saturday and Sunday. This past week, by the way, the week I'm talking about is starting on Monday, March 17th, WWE Raw. So Smackdown 321 and Dynamite 319. So that's the week I'm referring to. And for whatever reason, it didn't record for me, Collision. I'm assuming if they just did an hour here and an hour there at 11 o'clock at night on a Saturday and Sunday night, that there was probably nothing earth-shattering happening on those shows anyway. So there won't be a Collision review this time, just Dynamite. So, okay, if you're with me this far, thank you, and please hit the like and subscribe button and share and comment and all that good stuff. And let's get going with WWE Raw. They were in Brussels, Belgium, and I guess reports of Corey Graves' demise were maybe a little premature because Michael Cole was there without Pat McAfee, and lo and behold, Corey Graves was back. And it was good to hear Corey. I think Corey's one of their better announcers. The crowd was super hot, as is often in these European crowds, to start off the show. And we start right off with Cena's music. And as you probably have seen by now on social media, yes, John Cena came out with the same music, same ring gear, same everything. He had a stoic looking face. That's the big difference as he came out. He still held up his towel about never give up or the last time or whatever it said on it. So he comes to the ring, and I'm not going to do this justice, but I'm going to try to get to the main points of it. He does an in-ring promo. He has nuclear heat. Crowd is booing the ever-living shit out of him. There's John Cena sucks chants going on. There's boos. But then the crowd kind of breaks off into the let's go Cena, Cena sucks. Could be purely nostalgia. Could be maybe some people are embracing the heel Cena and cheering for him. I don't know. There were some cracks in the Cody armor. If you remember in the KO feud, they were saying one more time and stuff like that when KO was like trying to end his career. So I wrote that he was very stoic, like I said earlier. You sold out chants. He said something about when someone is properly grounded, you don't have to look to others for approval. I guess that was a shot at the people. He says how he's been in an abusive relationship with the fans for 25 years. All you are is hurtful and abusive. He actually said the words, I'm not a babyface or a heel. I'm a human being that you've all been awful to for 25 years. He says he changed myself hoping you'd like me. I think he's referring to early on when he changed to the clean-cut superhero John Cena, I won a lot, and you hated it. So he talks about his win-loss record, about all the wins he had, and they hated him for it, even though he did really good. He said he tried one last time to be nice, but it's never enough. And the crowd started doing na, 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 hey, hey, goodbye. So he's basically referring to the fact that trying to give them something special, his farewell tour. No matter what I do, it'll never be enough. You should be ashamed of yourselves. You don't get a new look. You don't get new music. You get nothing. There's We Want Cody chants. Then he's like, oh, you're chanting for Cody, a new shiny toy. He says, oh, and I recognize the Let's Go Cena people. You're just as awful. So he's making a point to shit on even if there was any thought that half the crowd would get behind him now all of a sudden. So he's doing his best to kind of put that fire out. He says, you know, how he was, oh, what, well, getting back to the Cena people, what have you ever done to support me? You made me into a stupid, invisible joke meme. You're pathetic. I'm breaking up with you. You don't matter. Here comes the Cody music now. So Cody's music hits. The crowd is like super energized. They all sing along with his music. They're doing the Cody Rhodes, Cody Rhodes kind of chant, you know. Um, Cody gets in the ring, says, you know, we were all willing to hear you out. They gave you your worst and your best. They gave you their worst and their best. He's referring to the fans. He's talking about how, you know, you couldn't take it or you couldn't handle it. Cena starts to say, listen, kid. And Cody yells at him, enough. I'm not a kid. I'm your champion. And who the hell are you? Where's the guy on the shirt? So he's basically saying he wanted to fight the real John Cena. He says, if I get this Cena, I will retire you early. I want to fight the real Cena, not this whiny bitch. And he leaves. And then Cena kind of looks around like maybe he's going to say something else. And he just drops the mic and he leaves. And they do the nah, hey, hey, goodbye thing. Cole apologizes in advance for his personal comments, but he says that Cena was an irrational prick and ungrateful and all kind of stuff. Okay, so I covered the main points and quick opinions on this. Sometimes wrestling does this. I talked about this. I know it's going to seem like a weird comparison, but just stay with me for a second. Jesse Ventura tried to say at a Saturday Night's Main Event something about the ref counting too fast or the ref not noticing a foot on the rope. No, I know what it was. Somebody's foot was on the rope and the ref already counted 3, but they hit the mat at the same time. I don't know. He was trying to create some controversy and be like the old Jesse Ventura, but clearly you could see that what he was saying wasn't true at the time of the Saturday Night's Main Event. I'm sorry if I'm botching this comparison a little bit, but wrestling does this sometimes. There has been heel turns in the past where the guy will say something like, you people abandoned me and turned your back on me, and clearly they didn't. They're still cheering. I feel like this is kind of, I know this is the big deal and it was all the buzz and Cena and he came out and he had the big heat. My problem is it's not true. Now, if this was the Cena heel turn 5 years ago, yes, yeah, absolutely. This would have been like, oh my God, this makes total sense. But Cena, in the last few years since he's come back, gets the nostalgia pop. He gets the cheers. He gets the, and even if he gets the John Cena sucks or let's go Cena sucks, it was always kind of like in an ironic way, kind of like when Kurt Angle came back and they did the you suck, but it was just kind of a funny thing to do. But I got to say that the Cena suck stuff wasn't even happening in the last couple of years. And the crowd was embracing him. And they were happy when he won the Elimination Chamber and all that good stuff. So that's my issue with this is like they're trying to tell us like they're trying to say we saw something we didn't see. Or we heard something we didn't hear. And to me, that's just kind of like you just really want this match to happen. And you're kind of forcing a square peg into a round hole. I gotta be honest, and believe me, this isn't me trashing WWE or being some AEW mark. If you think that, then go listen to my AEW reviews. You'll think differently real quick. I just want to say that I think this whole feud just feels, if you want to call it a feud, just feels kind of forced and weird. And I'm not. I think there was a lot of other possibilities for Cody going into WrestleMania. So I don't know. Maybe WWE right now is just coasting and doing so well that they're like, well, we can try different things, you know, and they're doing that with a few different matches and stories going into WrestleMania. So that's, I don't know. My feelings on this is I'm mixed on it. Yeah, heel Cena's a little intriguing, but I don't really know if I want to see him and Cody that badly. And again, the logic of the Cena character just doesn't fit because it's just straight up not true. I mean, I feel like the heels or the tweeners like McIntyre, Owens to a lesser degree now because but Rollins even, they feel their gripes feel legitimate. Even heel McIntyre makes a lot of sense with how the bloodline screwed him in front of his family, and same thing with Owens and Rollins with CM Punk being on the outside trashing WWE while he was the WWE guy, and I could go on and on. But my point is, I like when there's logic. Even the heel should have some logic. And when Cena's saying you people have, yeah, it's true. The people did abuse him for years, but the last few years it's been hunky-dory and they've loved him. So it's kind of like, well, why didn't you say this a long time ago? That's kind of how I feel. Anyway, let's move on. They had Kaiser versus Penta. No holds barred. I'm kind of like, don't really, not really feeling the no holds barred. I don't really feel like they needed this match. And I think these guys are good enough without it, but they did it. Um, Penta was super over. They were doing the Ole Zero Mero chants and all kind of stuff. Just quick points here. One part that looked bad, and I'm being consistent because if it was AEW, I would definitely say it, and a lot of people would say it. Kaiser went. They were using a chair. Kaiser went down. The chair, went down with him. Um, and I noticed that Kaiser scooted himself over and reached over and placed the chair perfectly. So I do know that would have definitely been pointed out if it was on AEW television. And he placed it perfectly for, you probably know where I'm going with this if you've been listening to me. The Mexican Destroyer, which is the Canadian Destroyer, but Penta's Mexican. He gets the Mexican Destroyer on the steel chair. So, I'm sorry, folks, I'm going to say it again. Kevin Owens is power driving people. Good old-fashioned power driver. I'm not arguing with getting that move over. That's how it should be. He's almost ending careers, quote-unquote, storyline-wise. And Penta is doing a Mexican Destroyer, flipping pile driver onto a steel chair. And unless Ludwig Kaiser is going to be gone for a year, that is just no consistency whatsoever, and it makes no sense in the logic of the show I'm watching in WWE. So I like Penta. I'm not taking shots at Penta. I've been a fan since the Lucha Brothers. I think Kaiser's got a lot of promise. I'm not shitting on either guy. I'm just asking for some consistency and logic. I just don't think if you're getting the power driver over that big with Kevin Owens, then people should not be doing Mexican or Canadian or whatever destroyers. I think it was a Canadian destroyer when Chelsea Green did it, which is what it should be. Especially on steel chairs. But you're supposed to believe then that a guy gets a normal power driver and he needs to get loaded into an ambulance. Anyway, sorry about the rant. I'm just going to keep saying it because it just keeps not making sense. Then to cap it off, he did the Penta driver on the chair. So Ludwig Kaiser should be really hospitalized at this point. And he gets the 3 count. Penta does, and he wins. Kathy interviewed Penta after in the aisleway after the win. And he said he wants the IC title. And I kind of like this, what they're doing with Kathy Kelly. Again, it makes it feel like the more quote-unquote real sports feel. And from what I'm reading, Lee Fitting has a lot to do with these type of things. And that's, it's kind of cool to see the different, it's kind of what they do after MMA fights, boxing, different sporting events, talking to the athlete in the aisle or whatever. Then in the back, the Judgment Day is all getting along. But then when Dom mentioned he wanted to talk to Penta about joining Judgment Day, of all people, Finn got all upset and called him a snake. So they got along for a few minutes, but it didn't last. Then there was Dakota Kai versus Ivy Nile. Chad Gable and American Made were ringside. Rey Mysterio and Dragon Lee came out to attack American Made. And Chad Gable ran away through the crowd. And all the confusion, Kai pinned Ivy Nile with the GTK, and she got the win. Then we had the Io and Bianca contract signing. So there was big "You deserve it" chants for Io. Io was really over. There was a little bit of boos for Bianca when she came out. I think the crowd is firmly in the camp of Io when it comes to, we've seen this in Puerto Rico too, when they fought. When they were kind of going back and forth at each other, like I said, there was some boos for Bianca, not everybody. Rhea Ripley's music hits, and here comes Rhea Ripley. And I'm going to get into her in a minute. Rhea comes in the ring. She starts arguing with Bianca. And Io Sky goes to interject again like last week. And Bianca kind of pie faces Io. And then Rhea headbutts Bianca. And Bianca falls very conveniently on the table. And Io goes at Rhea. Rhea stops her and power bombs her on top of Bianca. The table didn't break, so that must have hurt. And then Rhea grabs the contract that Bianca and Io was supposed to be signing and signs her name. And I'm already rolling my eyes because the Rhea Ripley character to me has just been destroyed in these last few weeks. She has gone from the badass mommy that everybody likes and respects to losing a match because, let me get this straight, because Bianca Belair clapped for Io Sky to get up. And that distracted Rhea Ripley and got her so upset enough that she started pushing Bianca and got all distracted and lost her title. Now that she's lost the title, she's out whining and complaining that, well, I should be in the match at WrestleMania. And Bianca, why were you out there? I mean, Bianca could say, well, WWE asked me to do commentary because I'm facing the winner. That's why. So to me, Rhea just comes across as whiny and all the things that people say about Drew McIntyre healer. But the point is, the difference is she has no points. She has no logic. She got distracted because a wrestler clapped for another wrestler, and that distracted her to the point where she lost her title. So she looks like an idiot, and she lost fair and square, and now she's all mad, and she's demanding to be put in the title match, which sounds very heelish to me. Why do you get to demand anything? You had a match, you lost it clean, and you're not going to WrestleMania. That's supposed to be, right? I'm just saying from a logic perspective, why am I supposed to be rooting for the Rhea Ripley character right now in all of this and any of this? To me, she should shut her mouth, go to Adam Pearce, and get another match for WrestleMania. So this whole thing's a mess to me. I thought Rhea and Bianca would be way more intriguing, just them two. Nothing against Io Sky, but the whole thing just got muddied, and it looks like we're headed to a three-way, which I'm not sure what logic is going to get Rhea in this match, but it seems like that's what we're doing. Okay, then we had Jey Uso at the concession area like he usually does, and he's getting the fans all hyped up, and he's getting ready for his entrance. And then Gunther tries to interrupt, but the security holds him back, and he says how he tried to talk to Jimmy on Friday, and he didn't listen, and so there's some little backstory there with Jimmy Uso going on. I hope we're not going to another Jimmy Uso heel turn, so I'm just going to groan at that. He's already went heel face with his brother, and yeah. Anyway, so security is able to hold Gunther back, and Jey Uso does his big, huge entrance, and he's super over, and the whole place was rocking, and he's fighting Austin Theory, and my God, how far Austin Theory has fallen. Jey wins this match fairly quickly with the spear, which wasn't a good-looking spear, and during the match, after the match, Grayson Waller, who was ringside, tries to attack Jey Uso with Austin Theory. Jey ends up dumping them both out and goes for a dive and botches it, and it looked bad. I thought he was hurt badly instantly, but he popped right up. So if he was hurt, he hit it well. But then Gunther came and attacked Jey from behind and put him in the sleeper again. We've seen this a few times now. And but Jey fights back this time and takes the belt off of Gunther's waist. He had the belt in his waist, and in the middle of the fight, the punches back and forth, he was able to take an advantage and just take the title right off of Gunther. And the refs intervene, and Gunther ends up getting his title back, and that was it. Again, I'm sorry. I know Jay's super over. I know he's popular. I'm not faulting them for rolling with him. He's selling the most merch. I get it. I just don't feel like he's a world champion. I don't feel like he should beat Gunther. I'm not saying he shouldn't be important. I'm not saying he shouldn't be a good part of the show, but I think Gunther's a special talent as far as in ring and everything, and I just think he should hold the belt. And I guess my bigger point is this whole feud feels very manufactured too. They're trying to go with just Gunther just attacking him all the time and some logic about he's a clown, and I don't know. I don't even get what the feud is. It's just basically Jay won the Royal Rumble, chose Gunther. Gunther's attacking him, and I don't know. That's the storyline, I guess. We go to the back. Rhea Ripley is with Adam Pearce. To their credit, Adam Pearce, thank God, is saying this is not official. This is not, and Rhea saying it's a legal document. It's a legal document. So please don't tell me that the reasoning is going to be that Rhea Ripley goes and gets a lawyer or something who tries to say that technically because she stole a contract and threw her name on it that she gets in the match. Because if that's the case, I'm going to go to Raw when they come to Boston and have a contract signing. I'm going to jump in the ring if I can get past security and quickly jot my name down on a contract so I can main event WrestleMania. Okay, anyway, so Bianca interrupts and gets into a brawl with Rhea, and then Io shows up and all three of them are brawling and they all get broken up. So more to come on that, I guess. Then we had Rey Mysterio and Dragon Lee versus the Creed brothers. Not much to say here. Everybody did fine as far as their wrestling and everything. Rey and Dragon Lee win, but then the mysterious masked luchador, who really resembles Chad Gable, attacked both of them with the American luchador mask on, and the security chased him away. He did make a point to say gracias, kind of like Chad Gable used to say, thank you. All right, so then we did the Seth in-ring promo. Seth Rollins comes out. The crowd is super into him. They're singing along his song. Big time CM Punk chants. Rollins says something about, let's talk Roman first. So he runs down Roman and then he runs down Punk. And he basically, the main point of this promo was to say Roman and Punk will be at Smackdown. So maybe so will I when they go to, I believe it's in Italy next. So looking forward to that. All three of them under the same roof. Kathy Kelly's in the back talking to AJ, and sorry, I'm just rolling my eyes a little bit, but Karrion Kross interrupts again, and he's doing some, mind screwing to AJ, and he's got these little, whatever he's doing, hidden messages or whatever, and they're talking about Logan Paul, and man, Logan Paul really disrespected you, and just going into all his mind voodoo, and again, like I said, would carry more weight if Karrion Kross won more than like one match in the last year. So this guy with all his mind games and all his getting in people's heads never wins. So why would anybody take him seriously? Not a knock on Karrion Kross, it's just a knock on the booking and the storytelling. This guy should be presented as dangerous if he's going to be the guy that's getting in everybody's head and with his psychology, So anyhow, we got Braun Breaker is walking in the back. He's heading to the ring for his match, and he happens to walk by Penta, who's just staring at his title, and they have a little tense stare off. So they're kind of going towards Penta going for the IC title here. I think that's a little soon, honestly, because A, Penta has to take a loss, which he's the new big thing right now, or B, Braun has to take a loss, which I wouldn't do that. So I don't really like the logic of this. If they do a WrestleMania thing with Penta and Braun, this is one of those times I would be rooting for a triple threat, because hopefully Braun can just pin the odd man out and Penta doesn't take a loss. That's assuming that Phoenix isn't signed by then, Rey Fenix, and the Lucha Brothers aren't going for the tag belts or whatever. So, but they're teasing this IC title thing for some reason with Penta. So the IC title match was the main event of Raw. Finn versus Braun. Braun won with a spear. I'm not going to go blow for blow. Good match. Both guys are great. Finn Balor's a great worker. Braun's, a freak, and it was just a really good match. The Judgment Day did attack Braun after the match, and Penta helped with the save. They both cleared out the Judgment Day. Penta and Braun did, and then a little tense stare down. Penta ended up picking up the Intercontinental title at the end, and a little stare down, and he hands the title to Braun. So they're definitely building to something with Penta and that belt and Braun Breaker. Okay, so let's go to Smackdown. March 21st. I know AEW was first chronologically, but I'm just going to do WWE in one big shot, and then we'll do Dynamite. Smackdown was in Bologna, Italy, and we open up with Randy Orton with an in-ring promo. And before he can say a word, Kevin Owens interrupts immediately. He stays in the aisleway, far away, and says, hey, please listen. I was wrong to attack you. You picked Cody over me, and my anger made me do it, and he kind of makes the point of, if anyone knows about anger and doing stupid things at you, Randy, and let's forgive each other, let's move on. He goes, I saved Mello last week from you to save you from yourself, because you don't want to be that guy that's punting people again, and you don't want to go back to being that guy. Why don't we put this behind us and focus on WrestleMania, me and you being tag team champions? And of course the crowd boos that idea, and he says, don't listen to these idiots. And again, the Kevin Owens character, there is some logic there. It's like, okay, I lost it. I apologize. You've done a lot of bad. We all know Randy Orton has. It was the Cody thing, which, again, Kevin Owens has a little bit of a point, seeing Cody team with Roman and whatnot. Not saying he's justified in the in the logic of doing everything he's done, but I like that there's a little nugget of a point there for guys like him. So Randy responds, "What I should do right now is beat your ass, and you can take your apology and you can shove it up your ass." So a lot about Kevin Owens' ass here. I'm glad you dropped me on my head because guess what? It made me hear the voices again. And in WrestleMania, I'm gonna kick your head off your shoulders or something like that. So that's gonna be a match at WrestleMania. Owens and Orton. Don't know how I feel about that. I mean, it's gonna be a fine match. I like both guys, but it is what it is. Okay. Then we had the tag match. Damian Priest and Jimmy Uso versus Drew McIntyre and Shinsuke. There was big "Oh Drew McIntyre" chants. He was super over since they're in Europe. Well, I shouldn't say super over. Very over for a heel, let's put it that way. I'd say at least half the crowd was behind him. Priest ended up pinning Shinsuke with the South of Heaven in this match. But the after match stuff was actually more interesting. Jimmy was taken out at some point, and Drew attacked Priest, and the crowd was actually cheering for this. And when Priest started to look like he might get to his feet and rally, he got Claymored, and the crowd cheered that on too. So, building to that at WrestleMania. And Drew McIntyre did a good thing, a good job, I should say, of the camera picked up when he was saying things like, you robbed me of everything and of going to WrestleMania. This is all I have left. So basically, destroying Priest is all he has left. All right, and then we had Jacob Fatu versus Braun Strowman. And they were having a good, hard-hitting, big man match. But the Bloodline attacked and caused a disqualification. The new Bloodline, I should say. I don't know if that's what they're called now, but it was Tonga and Solo. And caused a DQ. Fatu looked kind of upset at this. And LA Knight came in and made the save. And then we went backstage and the Bloodline were arguing. And Fatu was really pissed off at Solo and Tonga for interfering. And I think his patience are wearing very thin. And I can definitely see the Jacob Fatu face turn coming. And I think they've got a big star in the making. Piper Niven defeated Selena Vega in a match. And then we had Liv Morgan versus Jade Cargill. Jade Cargill was coming for her, well, not really her revenge, but, Liv Morgan was being blamed for the attack on her. And then, she interrupted that interview the other week and kind of poked fun at her. So, whatever. She's mad at Liv. They had a match. Naomi came out, and Naomi was dressed in like a caution tape uniform, I think, kind of poking fun at Jade Cargill, the crime scene, if you will. And she had her like natural hair out and didn't have the crazy glow makeup and wigs and everything. And I thought she looked really good, and I'm looking forward to see how Naomi does this whole heel thing. She ended up hitting Jade with the tag belt, Liv Morgan's tag belt that was out there, while Raquel Rodriguez was distracting the ref. And then Liv, and I was surprised at this, Liv won with the Oblivion. I did not think Jade Cargill was going to lose to Liv Morgan, but they're serious about the Liv Morgan push. And then Naomi attacked Jade afterwards. That attack didn't really look good, the way the punches were thrown and stuff. But anyway, she did attack her. And so, they're building to, I guess, Jade and Naomi at WrestleMania, I'm guessing. The Street Profits did defeat Los Garza in a match. Again, the Street Profits look like, kind of like maybe we're just supposed to forget about the heel turn now. And then we got to the main point of the show. Roman Reigns comes out with the wise man Paul Heyman. He's doing an in-ring promo. We know Seth and Punk are in the building. They've already advertised that, so I was already expecting the interruption. Roman gets the mic. He runs down both guys, just as we expected. Here comes Seth. He does his entrance, the big sing-along. Seth tells him, you messed up. You should have let me finish, Punk. It's about you and me. It's about the history between us. And he has kind of a face-off with Roman. And then here comes CM Punk's music. And there's the big sing-along. And he gets on the top rope looking down at both of them from the outside of the ring and says, "Here's the facts. Neither of you have beat me without help." And he looks at Roman and says, "And I saved your family's ass at War Games." And he says to Heyman, "And you still owe me a favor." And Heyman looks very nervous. And he says, "Well, but anyway, thank you for delivering your tribal chief on a platter," which makes Punk kind of side-eye Heyman. So it's teasing like, where does Heyman's allegiances lie? Kind of like they did with Brock and Roman a few years back. So then Punk jumps off the ropes and attacks Roman. And then Seth jumps in and all three brawl, and the refs and officials and security come out and they have a big pull apart. Punk gets up on the announce desk, points at the WrestleMania sign. But then Seth gets the upper hand on both guys, and then he's standing on the ring apron and he points to the WrestleMania sign. And then Roman breaks free and grabs the steel ring steps and takes out both Rollins and Punk. And the show goes off the air with Roman pointing at the WrestleMania sign. So if you haven't gotten the point, that means that all three are fighting each other in a triple threat match at WrestleMania. Okay, if you listen this far, thank you. Please hit like and subscribe. And I'm going to do AEW Dynamite now on March 19th. Again, no Collision coverage this week, just Dynamite. So we had the match. It was a 4-way match for the international title shot at Dynasty. And it was Orange Cassidy versus Speedball Mike Bailey versus Mark Davis versus Ricochet. Ricochet and Bailey both had Davis in a pin. So the ref counted 3 and then looked very confused. I don't know if he didn't know what he was doing. I don't know who does. But the announcement was that now Ricochet and Bailey are both going to Dynasty to face Omega. So it'll be a triple threat match. Then there was a TBS championship match with Mercedes Moné versus Billy Starks. And this was a pretty competitive match, which surprised me. But Mercedes ended up winning with a bank statement. And I just would like to see Mercedes interacting more with the big-time AEW talent rather than like Billy Starks from Ring of Honor and Momo Watanabe from Japan and all this different stuff. Like, I would like to see her in some feuds with some, I've done it before. I'm not going to rehash it today. But I made at least a top 10 list of good females in AEW. No joke, that if booked properly, they could really have something here with this division. They did an MJF MVP recap, and the MJF did like a pre-taped interview and just said that he has the MVP card with all different people. He says he's been thinking about the MVP card because Jon Moxley's surrounded by all kind of thugs and maybe he could use some help. And he says he's going to have an answer next week for MVP. So this is intriguing. He did talk about, though, that the last time he trusted someone and had a friend, he got screwed over, which he did, which is another hole in the logic of the babyface Adam Cole, who clearly screwed over the heel MJF. But anyway, don't want to rehash that. So a little intrigue here. I mean, I'm glad to see MJF in some kind of interaction with the Hurt Business. I mean, they're the most prime time filling things on this whole show, in this company, I should say. All right, and then right here, smack dab in the middle of the program, we had the AEW Championship Street Fight. The champion Jon Moxley versus Cope. Moxley is walking, I don't know why, but he's walking through the parking lot. It's cold outside. He's got like a snow hat on and a hoodie and everything. I think they were in Nebraska, I want to say, and there was like a foot of snow the day before or something. Cope jumps him right in the parking lot. So they jumped it off quick without the big introductions. He jumps Moxley in the parking lot, and then they fight into the back of a truck, one of the production trucks. So they fight in there for a little while. Then they fight into the backstage area, and Mox has somehow brought the briefcase with him all throughout this, and he uses it on Cope a few times, and then they fight into the arena. They were like ringside, just fighting around ringside forever. Mox hit Cope with a kendo stick he grabbed from under the ring, and then they fought into the crowd. And then Moxley ended up hitting the paradigm shift on the announce desk. And then they fought back into the ring area, and Cope ended up landing a big superplex on Mox. Cope then grabbed Spike, his 2x4 or whatever it is, with all the nails sticking out of it. And as he grabs it and gets in the ring, Moxley hits a cutter, which makes Cope drop it. And then they fight back and forth, and then Cope regains Spike. And he hits Mox with Spike in the midsection. And then he hits him in the back. And then he lays down Spike. And for those of you who have, I'm sure, seen this, know where I'm going. He suplexes Moxley on Spike. And if you were wondering if there are at least some real nails in Spike, there are. Because they were stuck in Moxley's back. Let me repeat that. He suplexed Moxley on a 2x4, some kind of 2x4 thing, with nails sticking out of the end of it, a whole bunch of nails. They were stuck in Moxley's back. This is what they're doing on their flagship show on TV. Yuta came in out of nowhere, hit the big knee on Cope and knocked him out of the ring. And he's trying to pull the thing out of Moxley's back, and you can see the nails pulling on Moxley's skin. And Yuta is asking the referee to help. The referee's got gloves on now, so they've got to get this thing out of Moxley's back. This is just so stupid. And then Yuta goes to run at Cope on the outside to make sure he stays down, and Cope catches him and powerbombs him through a table. I failed to mention earlier that there was a couple of tables set up, just in case, I guess. And then Pac and Claudio came out and attacked Cope. And then FTR came out and saved Cope. And then Cope, so they managed to pull the freaking nails out of Moxley's back, the board out of Moxley's back. And when they did this, Cope came back in the ring, speared Moxley through a table, which Moxley had set up in the corner. And 2 count, Marina Shafir made the save. Not only made the save, but mounted Copeland and started beating on him with punches. And then Willow Nightingale came out and was having some trouble with her sweater getting caught up in her arms, but she made the save and took out Shafir. I'm not sure how she can beat up Shafir if Shafir can beat up big men that are over 6 feet tall and over 200 pounds. But anyway, Kip Sabian and Nick Wayne ended up coming out and attacking Cope. Not sure why that is. Christian Cage is mad at him again for some reason, I guess. And then the logic is he didn't use them when he came and cashed in, but he uses them here. Okay. All right, so they attack Copeland, and Moxley makes a cover 2 count. But right after the 2 count, he jumps straight into the Bulldog choke and just chokes Copeland out. So another kind of just really non-eventful, boring finish with that choke out again, and Copeland just keeps getting choked out by Moxley. Prince Nana's in the back watching this because, Swerve is next in line, I guess, to get choked out by Moxley. One intriguing thing that happened, though, was Dax would not help Cope up. Cope was, all hurt after the match, and in the aftermath of the match, FTR was in the ring with Willow, and Cope put his hand out to Dax to help him out, and Dax wouldn't help. So Dax continues to act a little heelish, and when Cash Wheeler went out there to confront Dax, he kind of slapped his hand away, and they kind of had a little argument. There was a nice little ovation for Cope after this, but honestly, I thought this match was just terrible. I'm sick of just seeing just things for shock and awe, like 6 or 7 or 8 nails or whatever, sticking into a man's actual back while a 2x4 just hangs out of his back, and it's just dumb. I don't know who it's for. I know what they're gonna say. It's for the sickos. Well, if you're left with just the sickos, you're not gonna have a show in a few years, or maybe sooner. So I just don't get this. I don't get who it's for. I don't like it. It's not good. There was a good match next though. Will Ospreay versus AR Fox. The problem is AR Fox has been presented as so unimportant and loses all the time, and looked like a complete idiot with that whole feud of attacking Nick Wayne and leaving him all bloody, but then feeling sorry, and then whatever they did with him. We don't see him much, but he's a good wrestler, and he had a good match over here with Osprey. There was "This Is Awesome" chants, and the ending was pretty cool too. AR Fox had Osprey down. He goes to the top. He goes for the 450, misses, and man, did that look like a roughly. He took a front face bump, like a front body bump, whatever you want to call it. But with all that velocity of the 450, slapped into the mat and kind of bounced up to his knees, and then boom, hidden blade and pin. And that was definitely the best match on the show, I would say. And then we had, so this is back to my point. If you think I'm just going to shit on AEW and especially the women, I'm not, because they put the woman in a main event spot here, and it was Megan Bayne versus Statlander, and I thought this was good. And Toni Storm was on commentary, and Bayne was accompanied by Penelope Ford, so they're continuing that partnership, which hasn't really been explained, but whatever. Toni Storm was on commentary saying that Megan Bayne has really juicy muscles. Okay. I thought it was a really good match. I thought the crowd was really hot. They got "This Is Awesome" chants. At one point on the outside of the ring, Megan Bayne threw Statlander into Toni Storm, so just furthering the fuel there. And again, I'll just say this. I mean, these women are both big. They're both powerful. They both are really good looking women. They have an appeal. They can wrestle. And I thought this was a really a decent match. And I was glad to see this. Like, if I was going to show someone the AEW woman, I would show them this match because I thought it was a good representation. So after Megan Bayne threw Stat into Toni Storm, she nailed her with the F5 on the outside of the ring. They call it something else, but it's basically the F5, the maneuver she's doing. So that's her finish. She hit it on the outside and then rolled Stat in and did it again to Stat on the inside and pinned her and won the match. So at least they gave Stat a little bit of an out where she got thrown into somebody kind of as a distraction and then got a finish on the floor before she got pinned. And then Toni Storm jumped into the ring because of what happened and brawled with Megan Bayne, and the refs and the security broke him up. And Megan Bayne was in the aisle after the security had broken them up, and Toni Storm was still in the ring, and she grabbed the mic. And I'm going to paraphrase some of the stuff she said. She did say, "My God, you're a big bitch." And she said, "But the bigger they are, the harder they come." And she said that she is going to leave Dynasty with this quote-unquote strap on as she held up the world title. And she did say that she will rip Megan Bayne's tits off. Those were all quotes, folks. And that's how they went off the air. So, this is what I'll say about... So first, I want to give my overall opinions. I kind of gave my opinions on WWE already. They're weak. I think the storytelling is losing its way. The crowds don't care. They were in Europe and the crowds were super hot. So the crowds alone, the atmosphere alone, made it kind of fun. But I'm not enjoying the storytelling, I have to say. I think leading into WrestleMania, there were a lot of other possibilities, and I feel like they picked even the Tiffany Stratton, Charlotte Flair stuff just feels forced. So yeah, I don't know. I'm at a weird place with WWE right now. I mean, the crowds are hot and everything's great and fun, but I feel like they've kind of lost something with the storytelling here. And as far as AEW goes, I'm only looking at Dynamite. I wasn't a big fan of the 4-way. Mercedes and Starks was okay. MJF was only there in a pre-tape. I thought the street fight was awful. And I just think it's stupid, and I just think nobody wants to see guys impaled with nails in their back or whatever. I will say that the last, I guess, third of Dynamite, or last half, maybe less than half, probably more like a third of the show, was good. I thought Osprey and Fox was good, and Bayne and Statlander was good, and I thought Toni Storm was pretty funny. If you wanted to show someone an example of AEW wrestling in a good light, I would have just showed them those last two matches right there. So I didn't think it was a good Dynamite, but I did enjoy the end of it. The tail end of it I thought was really good. And that's my opinion. So, folks, it's been about 45 minutes. Thank you for sticking with it. We did 3 wrestling shows, and next week we'll probably go back to the normal format. But for now, I thank you if you're still with me and if you've listened all this way. And please hit the like and subscribe button. Please share with your friends. Please comment. I'd love to hear what you guys think. And please interact, and maybe you'll get your comment on one of my shows. But anyway, thanks a lot for listening, and we'll see you next time.